All right, it's 8 o'clock. We're going to get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you for hopping on tonight, beginning the kickoff of the fall webinar series. And tonight we have special guest, Sherry Roberts, who is the Facebook Live queen, who's going to share with us all this great stuff about how you can rock your business using Facebook Live. I mean, who isn't using Facebook Live? Well, you should be if you aren't. But yeah, Sherry and I, if you don't know me, Elaine Michaels here. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. Sherry Roberts and I met probably about a year ago. Is that about a year ago? At an amazing mentorship workshop on, I think it was like prospecting or something, branding and prospecting or something like that. And we really pretty much hit it off right away. And since then, she has been rocking Facebook Lives. And so we're going to keep going. Okay, so yeah, so that's how we met. And I had asked her, she's been rocking the Facebook Lives. And so I asked her if she would come on tonight and share some of those fabulous tips for us out there, us entrepreneurs that really want to pretty much, rock our marketing out there on whatever platform it is. But, of course, tonight we're going to be talking about Facebook. Right? And Sherry, do you want to share a little bit about why you think, Facebook is a platform that we should be on?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Elaine. I really appreciate it. We are all learning.
Actually, go ahead and say a little bit about yourself too. I forgot about it.
Okay. Let's see. I have been in network marketing total time, probably close to 10 years. And I was not very successful for the first 8 to 9. And it was really, I'm like, I guess I'm not a quitter. I will always stay with it and everything. But what I was feeling like I was inadequate, that it was all about me. And I have since learned that it was not me. It was what I was being taught, which makes me feel a lot better.
Right.
Yeah, I am in Tennessee, close to Nashville, and I'm an empty nester, baby boomer, soon to be retired. That's my plan.
Right.
And I have not even done Facebook. The first time I did a Facebook Live was because I was challenged by someone about a year ago in April. So I've been doing them about a year and a half now. And I had never done them. I was so a mess. And she told me on a Friday, she said, just do it over the weekend. And I'm a procrastinator. And I finally said, I'm going to do it Saturday morning because I don't want to ruin my weekend. And I did that. And then I did a couple challenges. And now I'm like a maniac with them. I love doing them. If I don't do my number in a week, then I get DTs. I got to go do a Facebook Live.
Oh my goodness. Well,
yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah, I definitely need to get a little bit more consistent on my Facebook Lives. But I'm really excited to hear your tips and the things that you've learned doing it for over a year now. This has been almost maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can go into a little bit more about, what you've learned about Facebook and why Facebook Lives.
Okay. Well, I'm really, all my information, I do all this research, I go to Google and I say, give me some stats on Facebook, and I try to get the most current ones because it changes all the time. But I did some research, and a couple of things that I made note of, and I'm looking at my notes, guys, so if I'm not looking at the camera, please, I can't remember all this. So there are 2.23 billion monthly active users around the world. And there are 2 countries, China and North Korea, that banned Facebook. But then after think about it because of their government and stuff like that. So that's everywhere else. And 76% of the users are female, which I thought after I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see that. So that was interesting. And I got this one, the highest traffic time is midweek between 1 and 3. So I'm assuming that's Eastern time. So I think it's like people taking their lunch break and jumping on Facebook to catch up from the morning when they couldn't get on during their work week or work time. But I think that probably has changed because a lot of people have their phones right next to them while they're work. I'm on my Facebook kind of all day, jumping in, jumping off and stuff like that. And this was one fun fact. Mark Zuckerberg has a red-green color blindness. So you know how everything's blue? It's because for him, which I thought was really interesting because I didn't know that about him.
I didn't know that either. Okay, learn something new every day, right?
Yeah. It might come in handy if you go to trivia night. I don't know.
That's true. No, that's
Yeah.
very true. Those kind of clues are always the ones that get you to win, right? All right. So
Right.
let's see. I know Facebook Live, it hasn't been around that long, right? I mean, it's
Right.
pretty much, I don't know if you have any information about that.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because I didn't realize that it's been around for 2 years, which kind of seems like a long time, but really in the scheme of things, it really is not that long. And I know that in the beginning, it started out only with iPhones because I watched some training that was a little dated and it was like, well, it's not open to Android, but once it comes to Android, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, they kind of, I guess they kind of brought it out in segments. So they started with iPhone, which kind of makes sense. That's kind of where everybody wants to start. Yeah, so that is the kind of new thing on its age, which also if people think about it, I've heard this before that Facebook is really pushing its lives. So if you jump on and start doing your lives now, you'll be ahead of the crowd because there'll be people going, oh no, I got to do Facebook Lives and I haven't done any of them. So, you can start now before everyone, all the masses are doing it, and then you'll be an expert. You can be a queen.
That's right. Let's see. So, I mean, I don't know about what you've noticed, but, I've noticed there have been a lot more people doing lives than the last maybe 6 months than when we were starting it about a little over a year ago. And there are also, in the same point, there's a lot of people that want to do lives, because they want to put themselves out there. They want to do their marketing. They want to do their marketing right. But, maybe they're being held back a lot. And I know that was a huge thing for me when I knew I had to move my marketing in that direction, just getting over those fears. Can we talk about that?
Yes. And, a lot of people, everyone has fears. And even my thing about what I'm learning about fears is a lot of it is just, it's the emotion of the anticipation of something that you've got to do. And I've started trying to look at it like it won't kill you. And I don't even want to say that because I had a girl that was having to do a Facebook Live and she was like, I think I'm going to puke. And then I thought, if you really let it bother you, like you could have, I don't think it would cause you to have a heart attack, but you might think you're having a heart attack. So I'll say it won't hurt you. That might be better, but it can't eat you. That's one thing. They talk a lot about fears. Well, look at it like, doing something's not going to kill you or hurt you unless you do something crazy. But, danger and fear are two different things. And a lot of it is people worry, and I'm like this. I noticed something new about me, and it's so, I don't know, it's weird, but I won't even discuss that. But people worry, like how they look, or, I don't sound right. I have an accent, which, depends. If you're down in the South, you have an accent, but to the North, people might like that accent because it's different from what they're used to hearing. So just because you have an accent doesn't mean people don't like it. it might make them pay more attention to you because you have that accent. Or maybe you use y'all or something like that, and they're just like, how do you use that word? So they've got those things, and a big one is what other people think or what they're gonna think. And we all use that one. I use it. Like I say, I don't care what people think, but deep down, I'm like, I wonder what those people are gonna think,
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, people aren't even thinking, we worry. We're not even in their realm of thinking, So a lot of times I tell people, take the focus off of you, not what you're worrying about, and look at it as the way as what am I providing to the person that I'm doing this live for? And that can flip your whole fear and, take it off the focus onto who you're really meaning to talk to, which is not yourself. So those are just some things I try to, it's stuff that I hear a lot, people just not knowing what to say, not knowing how, they all have pretty much the same little series. And even, like, well, I might have a chipped tooth, or I don't like my smile. Most people don't even notice that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or it becomes something that's memorable, right? Something that they thought was holding them back. It ends up being part of their brand, a part of something that's memorable, right? So
yes,
cool.
Definitely.
And another thing is maybe you do it once or twice and you survived, right? And then it's like, well, what? I have to do this more. Like, where am I going to come up with stuff to talk about, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I asked that once in a post, on a Facebook post, like, what keeps you from doing Facebook Lives? And I had a photographer say, I don't have anything to talk about. And I'm like, you're a photographer. You have so much knowledge that the common normal person doesn't have. I mean, the lighting, the background and clothing and just angles and things like that. So I think a lot of people take what they do day to day as, oh, it's nothing, but it is something, because a lot of people do not know what you know. I do accounting, so I take it for granted that everybody knows about everything's supposed to balance and stuff like that, which they don't, and things like that. And so even if you just think a little bit about what you like, maybe it is, if you like going and watching soccer, you probably know a lot about soccer. Like when I first learned about soccer, I didn't even understand offsides. But someone who knows soccer knows all that. They know the rules. They know how the penalties, you know a lot more than you're giving yourself credit for. And even if it's something that you're interested in and you might not know it all, you can go back to Google, do your research. Google is everyone's best friend.
Right?
That's the answer for everything. So, just, read a blog or, do a search and read a couple of different different people's opinions on it. And YouTube is another one. We've gotten to the point where nobody wants to read anything. I mean, that's why Facebook Lives are so popular, because instead of someone reading a real long post, they'll sit there and watch you tell them. So, that's a lot of things, ways you can get content. And anything that you probably know more than the person you're talking to. So I try to keep that in mind with people, because everyone does have something to share.
Yeah. And so, what do you do to keep that content flowing and knowing what you're going to talk about next?
What do you mean? Like when I'm on a Facebook Live, how I go through that, or
even just like you said that you do, a few a week, right? And you feel like you got to get yours in for the week, and find the topics to fill a whole week.
Well, sometimes what I'll try to do is I kind of focus in on, I do a lot of mine about Facebook Lives and content or your lighting and things like that. So you can repurpose your, if you say, okay, I can do 3 lives on 3 different topics that are in congruency with each other. Well, you can do 3 more the very next week, because not everyone is going to watch that video every time, and you're going to be adding new viewers. So, I kind of try to keep it. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to move on. I got to go into this detail and that detail. But then for the new people, that will be way over their head. So you kind of figure out where you want to focus, and, you can take a topic, jot back down, do another topic, and then once you're like, I don't know what else to talk about, maybe start back at the beginning, and you can even do a different live with pretty much the same information.
Wow. Okay. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I need to be taking notes here. That is phenomenal. I mean, what a great idea, using like repurposing something, or, breaking it into pieces,
Mm-hmm.
sharing it again in a different way. Oh, great. Yeah. So, what if, there's someone who's, out there listening, and maybe, maybe they did the one time and done thing, or they're wanting to start it up, but they're like, I don't even know where to start. What advice do you give? I know you're doing like actually a Facebook Live challenge right now. It's amazing. It's going really well. Like, what kind of advice do you give to somebody, just so, to know that Facebook Live kind of has a little bit of a science to it, don't you think?
Yeah, what I try to do is I use the word live to keep my, it's kind of got like, you start here, it's got a formula to it. So like I always tell people, I use L for line, so you need to have a good description, and sometimes it can be catchy. Like one time I did one like, does the thought of doing a Facebook Live make you feel like you got the heebie-jeebies? So instead of just going, does the thought of Facebook Lives make you scared? You can make it kind of worded a little different. Or a lot of times now I'm going to the question. I start out with a question like, do you ever wonder what to talk about on Facebook Lives? So that's going to be my topic, so they can see it right off the bat, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, I want to find out about that. And then when I do my introduction, which is the I will say, I'll repeat that line and say, do you ever wonder what topics to talk about on Facebook Live? I'm going to give you 3 reasons to answer that question. And then I'll introduce myself, because you think everyone knows you, but it might be that person's first time view. So, they're like, I know your name, but they might not even know your name. They might have just saw it go live and say, I'm going to jump on. So you can introduce yourself each time, and then go to your answering whatever the topic that you had mentioned. And so you have a vision, which is the V. So you're letting them know and solving their problem basically. And so, you can do the 3. You can even say, okay, I want to, I'm going to throw in an extra tip or have a freebie or something like that. And at the end, which is the E, you want to have a call to action. Like, even if it's just like, hey, check out my fan page, or I have something free I'm going to give you, or go check out my website. You want to have them move on to the next step. And you can always want to include that in your ending. So using the word live, it helps because it just kind of keeps it congruent, and it's easy. Like, what am I supposed to come up with? So you're doing a live, so you can use those lines. So that's how I try to do it.
Oh my gosh, that would be so easy to remember.
Yes.
Because when you're in the middle of the live, it's kind of like, you don't want to get carried away when your thoughts, right? Because you want to be able to share more like fluidly and smoothly. Okay, so that's great. So live, L stands for
line.
Mm-hmm. I stands for
intro or introduction.
V is vision, and E is ending. Okay, winning formula right there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now I know it looks like when you hop on, because I've seen your lives, it looks like you just kind of press the button and you just go. But I know that there must be something more that you're doing back there. So can you share a little bit about, behind the scenes, what it is that you do to like prepare for a Facebook Live, just so that we can have an even, I guess, a starting point too.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely, if every time that I've just said, oh, I got to do a live, I'm going to do it, and I'm not prepared, then I have a couple of problems. I'll lose my train of thought, or I'll forget something that was really important that I wanted to mention. And then I'm just kind of like there and like, and I get flustered, then it just goes downhill. So I definitely spend a little bit of time before I go live. I want to do some research, like, okay, what do I want to talk about? What do I know about it? And, maybe I need to go to Google and see if there's anything else I can add. Maybe there's something new that's come out. Facebook changes their algorithms and stuff like that all the time. So I want to get my current stuff. And, I can do that if I've watched a webinar, maybe, the week before, or I watched a webinar the night before or something. I'm like, that is something that I want to talk about. So that's another thing that you can do to get prepared for it. And, just doing all that different research. And my trick is, I've got them all over here. I try not to throw them away a lot, but I use like little pieces of paper. And so I have my points of what I want to talk about so that I don't forget. And it's not like I'm going to read this. I've had them where they're taped right by the camera. So I can see them and I'm not having to but yeah, bullet points. Everybody's like, well, I want to do it natural. Well, yeah, you want to do it. I'm not saying this is everything I say, but it keeps me on track. So I definitely keep these around, and, you can keep them at one point. I sometimes will keep them if I want to use them for like a challenge, and then I can repurpose them. When I'm doing challenges, I usually pretty much have it all planned out in advance and work my way through them. But these, you can just do them, throw them in the trash, and start anew, because you probably aren't going to say the same thing, and your bullet points aren't going to be the same either. And there is nothing wrong with having you don't want, I have what they call the squirrel syndrome, where, something happens and I'm like, I'm all out of no. I'm talking another subject. I was talking to a lady today. I was at the dentist's office, and I was like, I'll finish this conversation. And I walked through the doorway and I'm like, what were we even talking about? So it helps to keep you on point. That's for sure. So I definitely suggest, take a little time in advance to know what you're going to talk about. Have your bullet points. Have them where you can see them. And, even if you're first time doing it, I've also added like intro and call to action. If it's something like, I started out having a really hard time having a call to action, so I made that in my bullet point so I wouldn't forget it. And there was something else I was going to add, and I've already forgot. Oh, no, that wasn't it. I don't know. It may come to me here in a minute.
Awesome. I mean, that's just going to give you a little ease of going through the Facebook Live if you're nervous about doing it, right? If you kind of have like an outline and everything. I use Post-it notes, but sometimes they lose the stickiness, and I've been in the middle of one, and there goes flying away to the floor, and I'm like, there goes my points right there.
Yes.
And that's okay. It happens, and you can always add the points to another Facebook Live if that happens to you.
Yeah.
And I know you've shared so much great information here, Sari. If we could ask maybe, there's a couple questions here on the chat, and also, do you mind if we answer some of these questions?
No.
Okay, so one of the questions is, Um, okay, so we went through the formula. Do you have like some kind of structure to your Facebook Live other than the formula that?
I pretty much have it planned out. I try to, if it's going to be a long one, I will go back at the end and say, okay, let me go over those 3 points or 5 points, because sometimes people will come in, they might come in at number 3, and you don't want to start back at the beginning on, oh, I got somebody new, let me start back.
Okay.
And you can just go, I'll do a quick recap at the end. So because if you wait until everyone jumps on and then you start back over, it might be a lifetime live. You never know.
Too long, right?
Yeah. And I try really hard to, like, if you can talk to people, like you see someone come on and you're like, hey, Jesse, thanks for joining. That's good, but you don't want to spend your whole time going, hey, Jesse, hey, Sam, hey, this, because everyone else is going to be like, where's the topic? What's going on? So, things like that. And I try to remember to look in the camera and not somewhere else. And my big thing is when people go, you jump on and you're like the first one on, and they're like, well, I'm just going to wait for some people to pop on. And they just sit there like, don't wait for people to pop on. Facebook Lives are live, but the great thing about them is most people watch it on the replay. So if someone jumps on and you're not talking, you can at least talk to them until some other people come on, but they're going to think, well, I'm not good enough to talk to. So definitely start talking in the beginning. I know a lot of people, I sometimes go long, and some people go, if I watch for 30, 40 seconds, I'm out of there. And I can understand that, but if you're giving them good information, they're going to stay on too. So, those are some things that I try to, always remember. And a lot of it, the more you do them, you'll get more comfortable. You get a little longer on the conversations and stuff too. But if you're providing really good value, people will stay to listen to all of it because it's information they want to know.
Oh my gosh, right there. That's the golden nugget, guys. The golden nugget is to provide value. Okay, people don't want to see what's inside your shoe or what's on your desk or something. They want to hear and see value. Okay, and it's a quick question here. What do you find is the best time to do a Facebook Live? I know you had mentioned something that it's very popular in midweek in the afternoon, but if we're doing it every day, let's say.
Yeah, that's the time where most people are on. But some of the best time, I always tell people the time that you can do the live uninterrupted and you can be focused is really the best time because they can do the replay. But there are different times, like you think about it, like I don't have small kids at home, but I can remember when my kids were small, nothing happened until they went to bed. So if you are a mom with kids, the best time for you to do it will probably be when the kids are in bed. And you think about it, your viewers, which are probably moms with kids, they're just getting to sit down and check Facebook, maybe have a glass of wine, and just be able to calm down and have some me time. So I know a lady that's on the West Coast, and she said she sits down about 8 o'clock, which she's on West Coast, so that's even 2 hours away from me. But she gets a lot of live viewers that are moms that are just now getting to sit down and stuff like that. So my thing is the best time is when you have the time that you can focus and give yourself 100% to that. And there's the replay. That's the best thing. And one thing too, on lives, one thing to think about for Facebook Lives, if you're using them for your business, it's free advertising. It's free. And I'm not saying and I hate to talk about any certain companies, but some companies where they sell their products. There's a couple of jewelry companies and pearl companies, and I've seen it for like 3 hours. I'm not going to sit there, and I guess it's working for them. I don't know. But, I'm not saying sell your wares. I'm saying provide valuable content. It's just not the way that I choose to market. It's not what we've learned, which I think is really great, the systems that we have learned.
Yes. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. And for those of you tuning in and staying on, we want to thank you for that. We're going to share a little bit about that in just 1 second. There's 2 more questions here. So about how long, Shari, do you recommend a Facebook Live to go on for? I know you just mentioned those pearl opening clams that are like 3 hours long. It's probably not ideal, but maybe for their market and for what they're selling, it's ideal for 3 hours. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think, especially when you're starting out, you want to be on long enough so that Facebook sees your live, and if they see your live and they see that you start having some people coming in and checking you, they've got to have time to get it started. So you want to go long enough so that Facebook sees you and jumps in and says, okay, let me push it out. So I would say between 3 and 5 minutes would be a good start time, and then you could go from there.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left before they're going to shut down on this webinar on us. One of the like, how did you guys learn all of this stuff? Again, like what I said in the beginning, if you're just tuning in, I met Shari at an attraction marketing workshop. And we learned these kind of techniques inside an attraction marketing platform that, Facebook Lives is just a small piece of the whole, there's so many strategies, so many things that you can do for your business to grow your business and to not have to chase after people and have people coming at you. And for one example of that, which, we don't have enough time to get into all of that, but one of the things that Shari is doing is that she's utilizing Facebook and Facebook Lives and doing Facebook Live challenges, which is really engaging people and attracting more people to her and her brand. So, and thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to learn more about this attraction marketing program that we have both learned a lot from and gained a lot from being a part of this community where everybody really supports each other and really into teaching each other strategies that are working for them, strategies that are working today, strategies that are working in social media now. And this is not just talking about Facebook. It's across the board. Wouldn't you say, Zari? You will learn what you need to do, what is right for your business. Don't be shy, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to share with you how you can get into this community. All right, well, Shari, thank you so much for coming on to this webinar. It was jam-packed with such great information. I actually can't wait to get back out there this week and maybe put up my numbers for Facebook Live. I know I haven't been as consistent about that, but I definitely know the power of Facebook Live.
Well, thank you for having me, Elaine. And it was so much fun. We'll have to do it again.
Definitely.
We'll reverse the seats and I'll interview you, okay?
Oh, that'll be fun. All right. So we hope you guys have a great evening. Make sure I hope you took notes, because a lot of gold nuggets were dropped this evening. All right, be sure to tune in when the next time we will have a webinar, and we'll see you then.
All right, see ya.